Okay, we're in the sugya of Arava. We began yesterday. We said that the lulav, there's a lulav sometimes 6 days, sometimes 7 days. We said if the lulav is brought the first day on Yontif, then it's 7 days. If it's brought on any other day on Shabbos, if it's put the first day on Shabbos, the Yontif, the first day Yontif falls out on Shabbos, 7 days. If any other day on Shabbos falls out, it's 6 days. You're worried that maybe before Amis. The Arava is conversely is the opposite. It's only on the 7th day. Why the 7th day? Because we want to fast the mill. So why not the first day? We don't want to take away, but we think it's because of lulav, and therefore we put it on the 7th day because 1 and 7, Rashi says, yom distinct days, opposed to the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which are arbitrary days. So that's what we held of din Arava. So we're holding. We're going to see this din of exactly what the din of Arava is. And we concluded by lulav on even bisman hazeh, when we in Eretz Yisrael, where we do know the time that exactly when the Tezvav falls out. Nonetheless, we do not take the first day because of the Gzeira. Also, we should make a gudais. Here in Eretz Yisrael, they do it, in Chutz La'aretz they don't do it. So the halacha is bisman hazeh, using the halacha of Sheva al Taisei, based upon a sugya gemara in Yevamis, that tzaddik, the Chacham have a gezerah to be oiko, a mitzvah deraisa through Sheva al Taisei, hu adin l'megillah, hu adin l'shayfer. Hu adin l'megillah, hu adin l'shayfer. Okay, we're up to Mem Dalit Amid Aleph. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down, or 7 lines down. Amalei ba'il Rava. Ma'ishna lulav davdin le shiva zeich l'migdash. Lulav bisman hazeh, we carry 7, we do it 7 days, zeicha what took place in the Mikdash. Even though in the Gevulin it's only 1 day, bisman hazeh, we do it 7 days, zeicha l'mikdash. U'mayshna arava lo yavdin shiva zeicha l'mikdash. Arava, we do not do 7 days, zeicha l'mikdash. In fact, we don't even know what the mitzvah of Arava is. Samalei, hayil v'adam yotzi yidei chavasei ba'arava sheba lulav. Says Rabbi to Abaya, since a person is yotze with what? With the Arava Sheba Lulav, therefore we don't make a zeicha. That itself will be enough. Amalei said Abaya to Rava, Hu mishum Lulavu dekavidlei. The Arava in the Lulav is for the mitzvah of Lulav. It doesn't have any zeicha to the mitzvah of Arava. It's what? It's the Arava, one of the 4 minim that's in the Lulav. You can go ahead and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. When you take it the first time, you yotze the mitzvah of lulav. Then you would go ahead after you yotze the mitzvah of lulav. You'd pick it up a second time for the purpose of arava, and that will be the zeicher. No one's ever seen anyone ever do this. They never did this. So Rav Zvid Mishmei the Rava. The difference why between lulav and arava, why lulav made a zeicher and arava we didn't, is lulav daraisa, avdin and shiva. Lula, which is the rice, we did for 7 days. Zeichel and Migdash. Arava the Rabbanon, however, the mitzvah of Arava, which is only the Rabbanon in nature, loyav din and lay shuvas Zeichel and Migdash. We don't go ahead and make a zeich. It's a very nice teretz. The problem is it's not true. Because Laman, Ilaim la Abishol ha'ama arvei nachal ksiv shtayim achas lulav achas l'migdash. We mentioned yesterday, arvei is lashon of rabbin. It's a lashon of plural. Which plurality does it refer to? The Arava that's in the Lulav and the Arava that's in the Beis HaMikdash. So you see that what? It's not the Rabbanon. You see it's in the first pasuk in Torah, Avi Nachal. Il Rabbanon, if you're going to say it's the Rabbanon, the Rabbanon who disagree with Abishol, they say, good, we don't learn that from Avi Nachal, but we do know it's a Allah Chamash Misina, which of course is the Raisa. So, Domer of Asiyam Rav Yochanan, Mishum Nechunya, Ish Bekas Beis Charasan, Esnatias, the law of Esnatias, which again, 10 trees, it's a Shemitah Dekaden. Arava, the Arava Rabbi discussing now, Nisa Chamayim, which will Bez Hashem discuss, Halacha Mashmi Sinai. So you got it back to the original question. Why do we make a zeicha for lulav and not a zeicha for arava? And you can't tell me one's the raisa the rabbanon because they're both the raisa. Either as arvei nachal or as halacha mashmi sinai. Elam Rav Zvid mishmei the rava lulav the islay ikam in a Torah lulav that it says in the Torah v'lachtam l'chem b'yom rishon apriyet sod v'kapas tmorim and as a source in the Torah b'gevulin avdin le'shiva and the gevulin we make a zeicha l'migdash. Arava, the less yikim in the Torah, Arava, which is alluded to in the Torah. In fact, It may not be in the Torah at all. Maybe just halacha mashmi Sinai, right? Bigvulin le'avdin and shiva zeich lemigdash. Bigvulin, we don't make a zeich lemigdash. And that seems to be what? That seems to be the final distinction. So since a rava is not mefurish by nature, we don't make a zeicher. Again, I guess the svara would be that a lulav in the gevulin existed in the gevulin, so we make a zeicher not to forget. Mashen came one that did a rava did not exist in the gevulin at all, so you're going to make a zeicher in the gevulin for something that didn't exist at all. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure because really it's a zeicher of migdash, and in migdash it was 7 days and it was 1 day, so I'm not exactly sure of the distinction. Okay, Amrei Shlakish, Kahanim Balei Mumim, Nichnasin, Beina Ulam Mizbeach. Now, we saw a Mishnah in Kalim that there's different levels of lot of Kedusha. That you go up to the Yerushalayim is more Kodesh than the other cities, and the Harabayas is more Kodesh Shalayim, and the Azara is more Kodesh than Harabayas, and Bein Ulam Mizbeach is more Kodesh than the Azara. So Bein Ulam Mizbeach, right, like even in Yisrael who would go ahead into the Azara to do smicha, he would never go between the ulam, between the antechamber and the mizbeach. He wouldn't go there. So, however, one would have to go there to go ahead and perform the mitzvah of arava, either one or two reasons. Either l'chayra, either to walk around the mizbeach, or of zakifa, standing it up. So l'chayra, let's see if there's a distinction. Let's see how that plays out regarding this then. So Amrei Shlakish, Kahanim Balei Mumim. Okay, let's Rabbi Rosenzweig. Rosenzweig, we're on Mem Dalin Amid Aleph. Look at the Taisvis for Rabbi Yochanan. A few lines down after that, at the beginning of the line, Amrei Shlakish. Kahanim Balei Mumim, Nichnasim Beina Ulam Mizbeach. Kahanim Balei Mumim, who usually are not permitted to go between Ulam Mizbeach, they would be go K'dei Lotzeis Be'arava. Lotzeis, in order to fulfill the mitzvah of arava. The lashon lotzeis means to lotzeis, to be yaitza. The lashon yaitza means I'm yaitza a chiyuv. It's mashma is a chiyuv of the mitzvah of arava. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, mi amra, who says it's a chayiv? What do you mean lotzeis bo? Who says it's a chayiv? Friend of Gemara, mi amra, ha'iu amra. What do you mean? You yourself said it. The Amr Rabbi Asi, Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Nechunya Ish Bikas Beis Karasan, Essen Etias Arav of Nisa Chamayim, Halacha Mash Misina, Rabbi Yochanan, you said it. It's a chiyuv, Halacha Mash Misina, do the mitzvah of Arava. So what do you mean that they wouldn't go there? Say, Elami Amit Ben Atila, who says it's Ben Atila that will require them walking around there? Dilma Bizakifa. Maybe it's a din that you don't have to walk around. Maybe it's a din of just standing them up. If it's a din of standing them up, then it won't be unnecessary to go around. In other words, how do you know it's a din in the gavra? Maybe it's a din in the chefza. If it's a din in the gavra walking around, you're right. Then I would understand why they would nick this benul mizbeach. But if it's a din in the chefza, in the object itself, if it's a kifa, who says a balmum has to do it? So mela, there's no lotzei spot, there's no chiyuv on them. That's what Rabbi Yochanan meant, right? Dilma b'zakifa miyamra b'bali moment. Maybe it's a kifa, maybe it's not bali mumim, maybe it's what? Maybe it's only kanim who don't have a blemish. Itmar, Rabbi Yochanan Yeshua ben Levi. What exactly is this din of arava? Chadam arava yisoid neviim, the chadam arava minig neviim. One says it's yisoid that the neviim, the anshe knesset agdola, Zechariah Malachi, they went ahead and instituted yisoid as a mitzvah, a yisoid. Or is it just a minig? What's the nafkamina? Let's see Rashi. Yisoid neviim who? Takonis neviim achroinim. It's takona of the latter neviim. Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi. Shahoyim sakne takonis v'Yisrael. Banche knesses hagadola. They made these takonis. So you do it as the Vilna Goyin guys in Masechta B'chayris. It says all the takonis that we have are made at this time. This is the tkufa of the takonis. As the Anshe Knesset Gedola, they made these takonis. The various takonis that we have, milk and meat is midaraisa. Chicken and meat is the Rabbanan takana. So many takonis that we make carrying Abbas Rishus Rabbim. These came with this tekufa. This tekufa as they're reestablishing the second bias, right? The happiness this kufa. Minig, so that would be yisoid. Yisoid means that would be a takana of them. What does minig mean? Hinhigu esa'am. The am was noyeg this, late tiknu lehem, and they didn't make a takana. The nafkamina delay boy bracha. The nafkamina is if it's a minig, you would not have to make a bracha. The lekal lemema if it's sivanu, How do you ever make a bracha on a derabbanan tekadin? Asher kiddushanu bin sosa vitzivanu and commanded us. Vitzivanu means that what is mashma commanded us that is a mitzvah. Okay, I'm sorry. How do you make a bracha? Asher, it's Sivisan, right? Who commanded us? So the answer is there's a command on us not to deviate from the words of the Chacham. You should go ahead and turn away from the words Yamun Smile, right? So we are commanded to keep the words of the Chachamim. So Memela, it passed the Lashon Ashek Tishon Vitzivanu. We're commanded because the Torah says Leisasur. Masha Enkain, if it's not a Takon D'Rabbanan, it's only a minig, then there's no bracha whatsoever. So the shayla is that what we do Bisman Hazeh, this Arava, right? Again, clearly Bisman Hazeh, there's no Mizbeach. We don't go ahead and stand them up. But there's a minig with the Arava that we do on a Shana Rabbah. Is it a Yisoid that you would have to make a bracha? Or is it a minig and you don't make a bracha? So obviously you all know that since we don't make a bracha, it's a minig. But it's a minig from much earlier than Gebrux. Right? Much earlier than Gebrux. Much earlier. Okay. Says Mara. So to stay in Rabbi Yochanan who the Amar Yisoid Nevi'im. I'll bring you a raya that Rabbi Yochanan is the one who said it's Yisoid Nevi'im. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Yisoid Nevi'im who. That's pretty much straightforward, right? To stay him. I think it's a good raya. He basically spells it out. Amar Rabbi Zayel Mi Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. Does Rabbi Yochanan really say this? That it's Yisoid? From Rabbi Yochanan Mishum B'Chunish because Pascharasan Essen Tias Rabbi V'Nisachmayim Allah L'Mashmi Sinai. So he said it's Allah L'Mashmi Sinai, right, guys? Allah L'Mashmi Sinai. So what's the answer? You know the answer. Bisman HaBeis HaMikdash, to stand them up, it's Allah L'Mashmi Sinai. Bisman HaZeh Shaloi, right? Then it's Yisoid on Nevi'im, right? Because it can't be Yitzah. So Yishtoimei. So Rav Avo, right, was quiet for a minute. And and then what happened? Shachum, he answered, Shachum, they forgot it. They forgot the Lachamash B'Sinai, and that they say they brought it back. He said that they thought that Rabbi Yochanan thought the Torah in Bavel was gone. The only Torah was in Eretz Yisrael. So Rabbi Yochanan said the L'chain, the Torah is what in Eretz Yisrael. I thought it was yours, but the L'chain, it really belongs in Bavel. Rashi brings the Ma'aser of Kahana came up from Bavel, the end of Gemara Baba Kama. Guys, remember Rav Kahana had a split in his lip. Rabbi Yochanan had his eyes were covered with very heavy. He had his silver spoons. They put them back. He heard he had questions, and there was this person. Rav Kahana was a fugitive. He murdered someone in Bavel. He ran away. He went to Eretz Yisrael, and they put it back. He saw his lip. Rabbi Yochanan felt bad, and he died. And Rabbi Yochanan brought him back to life. A kid said, the point over here, but Rabbi Yochanan was spoiled at Rav Kahana, and he said, look, that you see in that I thought the Torah was in Eretz Yisrael. You see the Torah is in Bavel, right? So why was he Mishnah? Maybe like Kasha, come the Migdash, come Gvulin. So very good. In the Migdash was Allah Meshmi Sinai. In the Gvulin, that's what is Yisoid Anavim. Amar Avami, Arava Tzricha Shir. That Arava needs a share. That Arava needs a share. The share that Arava needs a share. Ve'inani tell us El B'fnei Atzma. It's not connected to a lulav. It's not connected to anything else. It's independent. And you're not yoitza with the arava shebalulav, you can't go ahead what, and the arava shebalulav you won't be yoitza. Even the amamar einani tell us elf meyatzma. Since you said it has to be independent by itself, pshita they know them yoitza by arava shebalulav. It's obvious you can't be yoitza with the arava of the lulav. So madatim I would have thought hani mili heichid loy agbaha v'hada agbaha, that if he didn't pick it up twice. In other words, I would have thought if he picked it up once for the mitzvah of lulav, that's fine. And he picks up the second time, Mishum Arava, you be Yaitza, that what? That no, it has to be independent. No matter how many times you pick up the lulav, you're not going to be Yaitza, the mitzvah of Arava. Rav Chisda says you could be Yaitza. The Rosh says you could be Yaitza through picking it up a second time. He doesn't mean you could be Yaitza for picking up once for both. It means like you pick it up once for lulav and you pick it up once the second time marava, you could be right. So we don't pass him like that. The kamashira, you mentioned there's a shear. What's the shear? Some Rav Nachman gimel bade alin lachen. 3 branches of what? Of moist. 3 branches of moist. leaves. We, of course, guys, use 5. That's based upon Mishnah Berurah's the shame that Arizal. The Ariz says we use 5. Again, there's not a reason given. It's a Kabbalistic in nature, but we use 5. Rav Sheshes Amar afilu ola echad ubad echad. Rav Sheshes says even one branch separate and one leaf. Can you imagine? One branch and one separate leaf. So, the Gemara, right? Ola echad ubad echad salke taitach. How could you have a havamina that you be yotzeh with one leaf? It's not nicker. It's not even recognizable that you have a leaf there. We said earlier in the Masechta. Remember, we had a kasha. We said pre-eitz hadar, eitz pre. We said that the tam of the eitz is like the tam of the pre. We said there's 2 things we know of that: the esrig and the peppercorns. We asked, so maybe the peppercorn, maybe pre-eitz hadar is the peppercorn. We said it's so small you wouldn't recognize the peppercorn. So the same thing over here. If it's one leaf, you're not going to recognize the leaf. So how can you have one bad separately and one leaf separately? It makes no sense. Says the Gemara, you know what it means? Here's what it means. One leaf on one branch, meaning one leaf on one branch, you'll be yaitza. If you look at Rashi, there's one branch and on it is one leaf. And that would be enough to be yaitz in the mitzvah of Arava, or the minig of Arava. Who they are minan? The Arava that's not on the lulav, the Arava that we be walking around with, if they atzma koldu sagi, even in koldu it's enough. You don't need 3 tfachim, you don't need 3 tfachim of leaves. All you need is what? One branch and one leaf. However, important Rashi, v'hashtu nogu lehevi. Here we're bisman hazeh, we bring branches that are long and bountiful. You recognize that you're doing the mitzvah with ayin yafa. Again, zakeli v'anveyu is not fun by mitzvahs. We should always do the mitzvahs in the nicest way. So therefore, we do use nicer shanis, of course. And again, we use 5 because they are re, and that's the source. Omar Aivu says Aivu. Aivu was the father of Rav. Amar Aivu, Havikim the Rabbi Elazar Tzaddik. I was in front of Rabbi Elazar Tzaddik. V'aisiyahu Gavra Arava Kamei. Shakel, he took the Arava. Chavit, he waved it. And Chavit, and he waved it. V'lei Berech, and he didn't make a bracha. Why did he make a bracha? Because minig deviyim hu, because he held the bottom was the minig deviyim, which makes sense, right? That was not we saw in Rashi. Aivoy v'chizkia b'nei barte the Rav. Again, so Ivan and Chizkiah were the grandsons of Rav. They were the sons of the daughter of Rav. I see the son of Rav. I see Arava l'kamei the Rav. They bought in front of their grandfather Rav. They bought an Arava. Chavit. He waved it like birich and he make a bracha. Same halacha. Kasava minig neviim. It's a minig neviim, and on a minig we don't make a bracha. Omer Aivu Havikim the kamei the Rabbi Elazar Tzaddik. Since we mentioned once Rav Avu saying in front of Rav Tzaddik, as the Gemara often does, when we have one person speaking to another person, we go ahead and we anthologize all the places where they speak together. The same. So therefore, here's another conversation that took place between Avoy and Rabbi Elazar Rav Tzaddik. This is Rabbi Elazar, the son of the famous Rav Tzaddik, who fasted 40 years that the Beis Hamikdash should be destroyed. Remember, he was so poor that Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai asked that they should get a doctor to cure him. He had the Gemara that he would eat. You could see it going down. And the Martha by space stepped on his fig and died on this date. Anyway, just that comes to mind. Anyway, so Elazar Tzaddik, Asla Kamedahu Gavra, a person came in front of them. Amalei the Gavra said the following: Karaisa Isli, I own a village, and Kamoya Isli, and I own Karam and vineyards, and Zaisa Isli, and I have what? I own olive trees. The Asa b'nei Karaisa, umikashpim b'karmaya. They go ahead and they weed and hoe the vineyard, and they eat the zaysim. Now this is in a Shemitah year. So they're hoeing in the Shemitah year, which might be a problem, might not be a problem, we'll see. Certainly it's a problem paying produce, using produce to pay. Good. So now, orech, did I do the right thing by allowing them to take payment? Or I did not. Now, halachically, guys, it's not a shayla. Since you didn't set it openly as a payment, it's not considered la'achla v'loy l'schaira. It's not like you're doing commercial business by using the produce to pay your workers. They took it themselves. So really, this person is asking l'fnei mishuras adin. He's not, the din is like takas. So therefore, he asked, orich oy. This is based upon the orich laner. Orich oy. Did I do the right thing or not the right thing? He didn't say mutter or asa. So Amalei loyarich says Ivo in front of Elizabeth Tzaddik loyarich. You didn't do the right thing. I guess it's not in the spirit of the law. So what did this person do? How? Because Shavik lay, he left him ba'azal. So Amma said Ivoy, Kadei habis daire ba'ara hadom shanim. I'm living here, right, for what? For 40 years. I'm living here, what, for 40 years. I never saw a person like this who wants to do the right thing. Hadar, he returned. What should I do? So Amalei, so Ivo told him, after Zesa, bimafkir Zesim, l'chashuche, right? Retain prite, and go ahead and give pruta l'kakushe kramim. Go ahead, bimafkir Zesim, and you pay them with that out of your own pocket. Okay? So that's what he did. So the dialogue over here is funny. Why did this guy do that? Ivo said, I never saw a person like this in my life. He said, this person was so sincere, he didn't handle with him at all. He told him, Sak. In addition, as soon as he told him, he ran away right away to stop them from taking the Zaysim. Then and only then, after he stopped them, he came back and asked them what to do. He didn't ask them what to do at the time because he didn't want to deviate for a second that they might be eating a little more. So that's Zrizas was so impressed Ivu so much. That's Zrizas that he did. It's the Aruch HaNer. It's a nice insight behind the Gemara. Anyway, Fred the Gemara, what about working the land? The kishkushe mishari, is it permitted to hoe during the Shemitah year? You're not allowed to improve the trees, like Sizra, like Samir, and hoeing is a told of Zreya. But Tanya, Bashvias Tishmetena, Tashta Tishmetena Milakashkes and Tashta Misakel. You should not go ahead and hoe, nor should you go ahead and even remove stones. There's two types of kishkushe, two types of hoeing. Chad Stumi Pili, one is to close the cracks. One is to make holes around the trees. Evruya Ilani is also, because that's improving the trees. Stume Pili is shari, that I guess that makes sure the trees don't get worse, I'm guessing. But that would be permitted, and that's what they were doing. Okay, so we had a halacha of Ivay speaking about Arava, we had a halacha of Ivay by Shemitah, now we're going to have a Shabbos Tikadin. It says, Amar Ivay Mishum Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Tzaddik, Al Yahalich Odam Ba'arvei Shabbosais, Yosim Migimul Parsais. On Shabbos in the morning, don't travel more than 3 parseis away. If you travel too far away, your family won't know if you're coming back or not. And then when you come back, they won't have enough time to prepare for you. And worse than that you won't have food for Einik Shabbos, Rashi says you might get angry at them and cause a shalom bayis problem. So I'm going to have kahana, only if you return to your house. If you go into an inn, on what you're holding, you're samech. So therefore, it won't be a problem traveling a greater distance on Erev Shabbos to an inn, because again, you're going to have your food with you. That's the first lashon. Even to your house where you might have some food, you shouldn't do it, and certainly to an inn where you know they're not going to prepare food for you. I had such a case where I traveled and I showed up at home. I don't have home or in kilo kisa the harsana, right? Like Ashka. I didn't find kisa the harsana, but that's our famous fried sardines, right? That we had many times. I didn't even have that. So again, don't travel too far that they won't know if you have food. Make sure you're home enough to prepare for Shabbos. Okay, let's conclude to the Mishnah. We said mitzvah lulav ketzah. What's the mitzvah lulav? You go to the Beis Hamikdash, Erev Shabbos, you bring your lulavim. They put them on the staba, they put them on these benches in the Beis Hamikdash, and then everyone would come and get them. They would throw them to them. They saw they were hitting each other, so they made a takana that you should do it in your house. Good? That's what it is. Now, I was thinking, guys, there are people whose minig is, some people go ahead and they go into the sukkah and shul and make the bracha. My father taught me, I made it in my house. I'd get up in the morning, even before I daven shachris, I go into the sukkah and make the bracha. Ken Zayin, that's the reason, since they made the takana bebeisai, maybe bebeisai, that's when you're supposed to go ahead and do the mitzvah. That might be the source, right? It makes, you know what I'm talking about? You guys also in the house, right? Ken Zayin, that's the source, because the takana was bebeisai. Because it's a little odd. You think you do it in shul, it'll be like, Okay, anyway. Kanichad the Kamei Reb Nachman, Sudorim al Gag Hitztaba. We had this Gemara earlier. They said, or the guess is Rabbi Yehuda. They would put them on this Gag. Now, when you put something on the Gag, you can have the sun beating down upon them. Says the Gemara, Amalei v'chili avshanu tzarach. You have to go ahead and dry out the lulav adarabba. The yavesh is puzzle. So why would they put it on top of the Gag? El ema al gav ha'itztaba. Change the gimel to a vase. They wouldn't put it on top. They put it al gav on top of the tztaba, and the Gag was covering the tztaba. So therefore, you'd have a covering. Amar Achba, Amar Rabbi Yehuda says Rachman Rabbi Yehuda. Harabaya stoyev kafel. It was like different double benches. Stoyev nim stoyev. It's one inside the other, and that would be protection. Wish everyone a good Shabbos. Probably around 9:30, around that area. 9:30, much of Shabbos. Bez Hashem.